like that. Oh no, now what am I going to do with the rest of my life? You know, and sometimes you kind of realize that, you know what, I haven't necessarily, necessarily planned to do everything that I wanted to. And so it gets a little scary sometimes. Because you get there, maybe you're a psychology major, a biology major, like, oh no, what am I going to do now? But it's okay, because we are here to help you kind of make that transition from the undergraduate experience to whatever it is you will do next, okay? And that's where we have this session. Again, my name is Ryan Maltese. I'm with the Undergraduate Studies Office. I'd also like to introduce Michelle Berg. She is with the University Career Services Office, and so we're here to kind of, assist you with respect to our career planning and things like that for you, okay? So, let's talk about it. Here's some myths and some facts, okay? Now, do you agree or disagree with some of these? First, whatever my career choice is, that is the subject that I should major in. Agree or disagree?
It depends on your career choice.
That's actually a very good answer. For instance, is anybody here interested in going to medical school? Anybody? Anybody here interested in going to get be a clinical psychologist? You are? Okay. So what's your major? Psychology. And in that particular case, it may work out well for you. And again, I'm not saying that you have to major in psychology in order to go to become a clinical psychologist, but it will help, right? Same with med school. If you're gonna, if you wanna, be a doctor or a general practitioner or something like that, maybe having a background in the sciences is gonna help you. Do you have to do it? For instance, this is another one. I went to law school. I majored in sociology, which kind of helps. I did not necessarily major in political science. Do you have to major in one of those in order to go to law school? No. Do you know who scores the highest on the LSAT, which is the the law school entrance exam? You know what major actually scores the highest average score on the LSAT? Anybody? Say what?
Psychology?
It's a good guess. No. Actually, philosophy majors. Yeah. And here's the thing. The LSAT does not have a single question about law on the test. Not one single question. Because it's all about judging how you analyze things. Well, a great major for that is reading a bunch of stuff where people are overanalyzing things. But any philosophy majors? Okay, cool, so I didn't offend anybody. All right, so next one. I need to choose a career path that is practical, something that will quote unquote pay the bills. True or not true?
True.
Yeah. Come on, where's the spirit? Where's the excitement about just the learning process? I mean, you're gonna always be paying the bills. Anybody ever tell you do what you love? Or find something that you will love to do? Come on, really? Are we that jaded at this point? I mean, have we even hit 21 yet and we're already that jaded? Oh my goodness, my goodness. Next, I should base my career decision on current trends and demands in the job market. That way I'll always be employed. True?
No.
It's a good factor to think about.
It is, yeah. And we'll see a pattern here. All of these are kind of that. It depends. One of the things that I would tell you, I tell students, especially my grad students all the time, is that, look, as long as you do well in your jobs, you ought to be able to remain employed. If you slough off and just don't do anything, well, that's going to affect your overall employment status. But the thing is, we're lifelong students, and in order to get better at whatever it is we do, we got to continue to learn, right? So that's what really keeps us marketable and employed, right? And then finally, I won't really know if I enjoy a career until I graduate and start working in the field, and I hope I don't make a mistake. True? Absolutely false. Why? Look at this part right here. Who here thinks that they will be able to have a job, go through their employment, and never make a mistake? Anybody? Okay, who here has never made a mistake before, other than me? Well, just don't ask my wife. Anybody? No, exactly. So no, that's not true. You're gonna make mistakes. All right, and one of the things I tell my students all the time is, listen, the biggest mistake you can make is not to learn from the ones that you've already made. As long as you're doing that, again, being lifelong learners, you're cool. And that's good advice, career, education, personal, everything. Trust me, I spend the majority of my personal life saying, I'm sorry, baby. So, anyway, all right, so here's some statistics. 65% of all college students change their major at least once while in college. Now, I've got a lot of sophomores here. Has anybody changed their major yet? Is that 65%? Well, you know what? We've got time. So, and it happens, and that's okay. The one thing that I would say though is be leery, because what's one of the main things that happens when you change your major? You add on what?
Time.
Time, exactly, right? So you gotta be cognizant of that. You know, if you just absolutely hate it or you're not doing well in it, well, yeah, because we want you to be successful. But if you can transition into a major that will allow you to transfer credits, allow you to continue to build up, like if you're in the Robinson School of Business and you want to go from finance to accounting or something like that, you see what I'm saying? We want you to be able to graduate. The more time you spend, you know, oftentimes the more debt you accrue. Remember, Hope Scholarship is only going to cover how many hours?
127.
127, exactly, which is basically about 4 years and 7 hours if you take around 15 hours per semester. Okay? Go. All right? Now, choosing a career. All right? Number one, choose a career is something that you really like to do. And I cannot stress to you how important that is. I graduated from college. I went to law school. I came out of law school. I took the bar. I passed the bar. Whew, first time. It's crazy. Then I started practicing law. Lifelong dream. You know what I found? I hated practicing law. Absolutely hated it. Loved being a lawyer. Did not like practicing law. You know, even today I still get annoyed. You know, most of the times because of the clients. Because, you know, like, you know, you watch these TV shows and lawyers love their clients and everything. That doesn't happen. Lawyers don't like their clients. You got to chase your clients for money. Your clients are constantly lying to you. Nobody wants to tell you the truth. And judges are constantly berating you. You see, so there's a lot of like personal kind of indignation that goes along with it. But I love being a lawyer. And here's the cool thing. I actually found that I can transfer those skills that I had into something that I love to do, mainly this. This, for instance, is kind of like my courtroom, and you are my jury. Cool? So you get to, you know, determine my overall effectiveness at the end. You know, we'll poll you. We'll let you be the foreman. You know, and we'll poll the whole jury and make sure everybody agrees with you, right? All right, cool. Yeah, exactly. All right. Number two, do your research and choose carefully and thoughtfully. Exactly. Don't get into something, you know, that you don't really know what the demands of it are. Because you may, I don't want to say make a mistake, but you may find that what it is you thought it was, i.e. law school or something like that, is not necessarily all that it is. And then finally, make it meaningful to you. And this kind of gets back to this first thing. Look, you know, you're young, you're aspiring, and that's awesome. And we appreciate you as college students. We will do anything we can to lift you up. But this is one fact that we know. If you don't love it, if you don't have an interest in it, you will never actually be as good at it as you can be. Does that make sense? You know, I mean, like, seriously, have you ever, like, done something and you did it because you had to do it, not because you wanted to do it? Have you ever noticed the difference between the quality of the outcome in when you want to do it versus when you had to do it? Same thing applies when we're talking about careers and employment, right? Right? You owe it to yourself to look for work that is meaningful and rewarding, but you may not get it right the first time. In fact, a lot of people don't, and that's okay. Right? So, here's one of the things. We have a great career services office, of which Michelle is a part. I mean, it's a fantastic office. They offer some tremendous things, right? They've got career counselors. They're trained professionals, which means they actually know what they're talking about, so we should listen to them. Okay? But they help you discover your strengths and weaknesses. They help you with resumes. They basically sort through the various options that you have based on what your interests are, what your majors are in the classes that you've already taken. All right? And finally, and this is important, you know, they're not going to tell you what to do, you know, but they're going to help you sort out what it is you want to do. Right? And that's the most important thing. Okay? Other thing that I love about career services, has anybody been to Resumania yet? Pretty nice, right? What is it, Monday through Thursday?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Wide open, you go in there, you get your resume done. Now, one of the things that we've handed you is a sample resume of what we feel is very professional, very astute, and looks good coming out of a college student. Now, how many people here have never had a job before? Tough, right? When you say, well, what do I do on my resume? What are some of the, and give me your name.
Shanice.
Shanice, okay, Shanice. So, tell me, where are you from, Shanice?
Philly.
Philly. And where'd you go to high school?
In Georgia, like in Covington.
In Covington? Mm-hmm. Did you do any extracurricular stuff in high school?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff you do?
I was part of the drama club. I was part of chorus. I was part of what was that thing? I worked with them. Like we did things for like Governor Perdue, we perform for him, we
So you get
volunteer at
performances,
Special Olympics. And
volunteer at Special Olympics. You do any other volunteer community service work?
Key Club, I was in Key Club.
Key Club or Glee Club?
Key Club.
Key Club, okay. All right, cool. All right. You know what? You've never had a job, right, Shanice? All of that should still be on your resume. Because there are certain skills and attributes that highlight you and what kind of abilities you have, even though you've never had a job, that may be very, very, that an employer, a potential employer will like. You see? So, I don't want you to discount all of the experiences that you have. And we normally say go back 5 years. We don't want to put stuff in there, when you were in elementary school, you were on the, Barney and Friends show or something. Well, you might. But I'm just saying, but, end of the day, like go back 5 years and think about all the things that you've done. A resume isn't just for people who have had a job. Now, for those who have had a job, how many people have worked? Let me see who's been working the longest. How many people have had a job more than a year? How many people have worked maybe more than 2 years? About 3 years? 4 years? 3 years. So when did you start working? Wait, give me your name.
Alla.
Alla. Where do you work?
Kumon.
Kumon? Where's that?
It's a tutoring.
Oh, really? Have you been doing that for a while?
Yeah.
And what do you tutor?
Math and reading.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that that's on your resume, right? And you bolster that. Whatever expertise you have and the things that you've been doing, you bolster it. If you've been working at McDonald's, you don't say, well, I just worked at McDonald's flipping burgers or working on the restaurant. You say, I am a customer service professional, having gained valuable experience in interpersonal relationships and customer service delivery at one of the largest Fortune 100 companies in the world. Sounds good, right? Right? A lot better. It's kind of how you phrase it. And that is what folks over at Career Services tell you how to do. Okay, so I encourage everybody and expect for everybody at some point, before the, semester is over, to stop by UCS and, do Resumania. Now, that's not all they do. Oops. That's not all they do, because, you know what, this doesn't have a directional thing. Because, if you can see that, we do it real cool. I think we do it real cool. Because also, if you go to the UCS, that's why. This presentation was set up so that we can click their little UCS button right here, and it takes you to their website, because they've got a bunch of different videos on the website and a lot of other service things that are really, really cool. Talk to you about stuff like, how you need to dress, different, things in terms of interview techniques, all kinds of stuff. Michelle, anything else on that website that you can, I can't really think of first.
Website, we've actually got a brand new interface. It's a little more easy for you to, if you're on your phone or a tablet, or just to see on the website when you're at your home computer or laptop. But we have links to interviewing techniques, like Ryan was talking about the videos. We have a thing called Career Spots, where you could watch videos on tips about a whole bunch of different career stuff. We have links that tell you how to, start your internship search, and links to Panther CareerNet, which is where we post all of our jobs and internships and part-time jobs and everything. We put on PCN so that you can make an account and search for that and just link up with employers that want to work with Georgia State students.
See, all of that. So another thing, I expect for you guys to go to the website as well. Okay? Yeah? Great. So now, here are a couple of things that we want to talk about. When we're talking about, who we are as a professional or as a developing young professional, we have to kind of think about, okay, who are we? What do we do? So one of the first things we need to do is we've got to assess our skills. And what we say is really, you can break it down in 3 different components. For instance, you've got your academic strengths, your personal qualities, and your people skills. And all of these at some point should be reflected on your resume, right? So when you look at your academic strengths, here we've got it embedded in the middle, but I'm going to tell you, for employers, for graduate schools, pretty much for everybody, this right here is going to assess what folks think about your level of seriousness towards your education. Does that make sense? How you perform in school, your GPA, how successful you are in the academic environment is going to be the very first thing that they look at. You know, and again, it's not an unfair thing or anything like that. That's just the truth. They're going to see what your major is, and they're going to see how you're doing overall in school, and they're basically going to say, okay, is this person serious about school? If you're bringing a 2.2 or 2.3, that's not going to be nearly as inviting, for instance, as if you're bringing a 3.4 or 3.5, right? Right? Okay, thank you. There we go. All right, and I'm not trying to dog nobody. It ain't about that. We recognize that college, our undergraduate experience, is our primary job, right? Like, this is your job. What's crazy is that you're actually paying somebody for you to do your job. You see what I'm saying? I thought that was always weird. But other things, reading and writing, creative thinking. You know, for instance, when you talk about creative thinking, we talk about, for instance, having been part of drama and key club and things of that sort, but also problem solving, decision making. You know, a lot of these things, you know, a lot of employers, especially for internships, scholarships, things of that sort, they ask you to, you know, do a personal statement. Kind of give us an idea of who you are, what it is you want to do, what will you bring to the table. And when we talk about cover letters, we'll talk about how you put those things in. Next, talk about personal qualities, how you feel about yourself, how you manage yourself. You know, what ambitions and goals do you have? What kinds of responsibilities have you shown? You know, a student came to me one time and she was really concerned because the only thing she had ever done was babysitting. I was like, well, you know, how long did you babysit? She babysat for like 6-7 years. And at one point she was like literally running a daycare thing kind of babysitting. I mean, it wasn't just like babysitting. Like, she had like, you know, families where from Wednesday to Sunday she was like over at people's houses with like 3 and 4 kids. And I was like, you know what that shows? That shows a lot of responsibility. You know, I've got like 3 kids of my own. I don't even like them very much. So the notion of like having to babysit other people's kids, like day in and day out, it's absolutely befuddling to me. Like, that's impressive to me. I can't get anybody to look after my kids, including me, including my oldest. He's 19. He's not like him either. But it's cool though, because they don't really like him much. So, and then finally, people skills. You know, and when we talk about your personality and, you know, your social abilities, your negotiation, leadership strengths, team player, everybody thinks, well, you've just got to be loud and obnoxious in order to be successful. That's not true. Seriously, I'm loud and obnoxious, but you don't nearly have to be like that. You don't. In fact, I encourage you. The thing that you have to do, though, is you have to recognize kind of where you fall on that personality spectrum. And then you make sure that you play to that strength. You know, you can be quiet and successful. But in terms of doing that, make sure that you're known. Make sure you stay in people's visibility, in people's lines of sight. Things that, so it's one of the things I've been telling a lot of my students lately in terms of when they're discussing with their professors certain things and they're in classes, is this line of sight notion. Make sure your professors see you. Make sure they know you. Make sure your employers, your managers, make sure they know you. They understand you. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. So, this guy named Holland comes up with like these occupational things, right? Or excuse me, themes. You know, and pretty much this is kind of how they balance it out. It's got these, you know, basically you've got your thinkers, your creators, your helpers, can't even talk this morning, your persuaders, your organizers, and your doers. And everybody kind of falls into one of those particular categories. Like a lot of you did that BARC learning assessment, right? And so in doing that, you saw that there were like 4 different learning styles. And then, you know, you kind of filter into one more than the other, stuff like that. Same thing with here. You know, thinkers are not exclusively thinkers. You could be like partly thinker and partly creators, but in a lot of ways you just kind of fall into one of these. You know, but what Holland is saying is basically that, excuse me, is that, you know, within this, that's going to play to your strength. So if you recognize kind of how it is you operate, you know, then when you find yourself in a particular position, you know, you play to those particular strengths. So I love this quote right here, Charles Schwab, you know, that's the investor guy, whatever. It says, a woman or man can succeed at anything for which he or she has enthusiasm. And I firmly believe this. If you love what you do, you can succeed at it no matter what. Okay? And here's what we're talking about when we're talking about those things. So like, for instance, your doers. Your doers are people who have mechanical ability, prefer to work with objects, machines, tools, plants, or animals, like to work independently or outdoors. Can everybody read this? Because I'm not going to read the whole thing. Does anybody see themselves in any one particular area? Anyone? You're shaking your head. Which one?
Thinker.
You're a thinker. All right, so a thinker is people who like to observe, learn, investigate, analyze, research, evaluate, or solve problems. Enjoy science, math, analytical, reserved, independent scholar. That's you.
more, yeah.
More or less. What's your major?
English.
English. So maybe not so much the
Not
math
really.
part of it, right? But okay, there we go. And again, you can go to other sides. Like, I know I'm not any one of these particular things. You know, I know some of these I'm not any of it. You know, but here's the good thing. When you get into like management and success and things like that, here's what you do. This is how you become really, really successful. Say you're a doer. That's great. But you know, you need other folks like this around you, right? In order to complete the process, in order to be successful. You know, if you hire a whole bunch of people who are like you, and I've seen this 100 times over, hire a whole bunch of people who are like you, who think like you, everything like that, not going to be nearly as successful as when you hire a diversity of opinions, thoughts, you know, beliefs, things of that sort, because that makes you more successful. Okay? So, factors affecting career choices. There's a lot, right? You've got whatever your interests are, what your skills are, what your aptitudes. Anybody want to tell me the difference between skills and aptitude? Anybody?
Skills you develop, aptitudes just sort of there.
There we go, good. So skills is like things that you've worked on, that you've kind of had that have developed, and an aptitude is kind of what you have an inclination towards, right? Like some people have an aptitude towards science. I can tell you right now, I am not one of those people. I do not understand science whatsoever. I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who do. My wife is a molecular biologist. Anytime I need to go to sleep, I just ask her about her day. And I know it sounds terrible, but it works. Oh, well, I had to run some kind of test dealing with... Oh yeah, great baby. People skills, don't tell her. Experience, family traditions, personality, and life goals and work values, okay? And you definitely carry all of these particular things into your career, okay? And that's important because once you graduate from school, then your career becomes part of your identity. It helps define you. I say to people now, I'm not just a lawyer. I'm an educator, I'm a mentor, I'm a adjunct professor. I'm a teacher. But I'm also a student and a lifelong learner. And these things have shaped kind of who I am and the career choices that I have, okay? So, when we're talking about